Alright, let's do how high first. I draw my 9 meters per second. I'm going to need to replace my angled velocity with my vertical and horizontal. I forgot to put the angle in here, 60-degree angle. Let's do the vertical first because I'm going to do how high question mark first. So this is going to be 9 times the sine of 60. Helps if you turn your calculator on first. 9 times the sine of 60 gives me a 7.8 meters per second. That's how high it's going up. Or that's not how high, excuse me, that's the velocity in the vertical direction. And if I want to know how high, again, I can draw that parabola thing. At the very top, at the highest point, my velocity is 0. So if I pull out VF squared equals VI squared plus 2A, which will be G, change in Y, I can solve for change in Y. I'm just replacing X with Y because we're in the vertical. So my final velocity is 0. I'm going to square that. My initial velocity I just did was 7.8 meters per second. Don't forget to square it. Plus 2 times a negative 9.8 meters per second squared. And I'm solving for change in Y. I'm going to subtract that 7.8 meters per second from both sides, and I'm going to square it. And then I'm left with 2 times negative 9.8 meters per second squared, and change in Y. Now, how do I get change in Y all by itself? I'm going to divide both sides by exactly what you see here. And that goes away. But what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. Now, if you see, I have two negatives, one on top, one on bottom, which is going to give me a positive change in Y, which is okay because I'm going up. That's good. So remember how I said you got to put these in your calculator the right way? 7.8 squared, and I hit enter. Then I'm going to divide by parenthesis 2 times 9.8, close my parenthesis, and I get 3.1 meters. That's how high it went. I'm done with part 1. Everybody say yay. Yay! Alright, now I'm going to go to how far, which is my horizontal. So I have to kind of keep everything thinking that way. I had my 9 meters per second here. I had a 60-degree angle. I thought I was doing this side in red and this side in blue. I had 7.8 from the previous slide over here. Now I can do Pythagorean theorem with 9 squared minus 7.8 squared, and I'm going to square root my answer to get 4.5 meters per second. So how far is D equals VT? Remember, horizontal equation. My velocity is 4.5 meters per second. And I need to times that by time. The time, I need a horizontal time, so I need to steal it from the vertical. Now this one's a little different. We're going to have to use this one. I should probably go to the right color. I'm going into the back to the blue world, and its final velocity equals initial velocity plus gt. My final velocity is exactly the same as my initial velocity, but it's going to be negative because it's headed down. My initial, I got that, I'm stealing it from the vertical, minus 9.8 meters per second squared, and that has to get times by time. I'm going to take this 7.8 and subtract it from both sides and get 15.6 meters per second, and that equals negative 9.8 meters per second squared, and that's times time. Let me give myself a little room here. And how do I get t all by itself? I have to divide both sides by negative 9.8 meters per second squared. So that's gone on that side. If you look, my negatives are going to take care of themselves, so I still get a positive 15.6. Yes, 15.6 divided by 9.8. I know my answer is going to be positive. I get a time of 1.59 seconds. I can put that here right now, 1.59 seconds. And when I times that by my original 4.5 velocity, I get 7.16 meters, and that's how far. Woo woo, woo woo.